7. Have a great show.
Lift off.
Hello and welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show. I am your guest host, CamiBaker.com, and I'm super excited. I have a very, very, very good friend of mine and a new very, very good friend, Howie Kaplan and Bill, pronounce your last name?
Taube.
Taube, Bill Taube. And these gentlemen are co-founders of 1854 LLC. And they brought me a copy of their book too. So we'll talk about that as well. Introduce yourself to our viewers. What would you like for them to know about you and your company and your story and all that fun stuff?
I've spent 25 years in high tech, project management, manufacturing, legal, partner management globally for a small company called EMC Corporation. And now I'm doing real estate, which is how I met Bill again and became involved with 1854.
And, well, let's introduce Bill, and then I want to hear the whole story about 1850. Well, not the whole story, the condensed version.
I'm Bill Taube. I've been in sales and marketing my whole life. The family legend has my first sales job, I was 3 years old, riding a tricycle in the lobby of one of the hotels in town.
I remember the story, and I would love, at one of our events coming up, to get a tricycle and put Bill on the tricycle and have him get back to his roots.
It was at the Lenox Hotel.
Maybe even a diaper and a pad.
No, that's too much. I was out of diapers by then. And the story of 1854 started by a gentleman named Brandel Randolph 3 years ago. And it's actually based upon his research that he did about people of poverty coming out of prisons. The social mission of the company is to hire women who have just come out of prison so they don't go back. They can support their family, their children, and have real jobs, not slinging hamburgers, because we are a high-tech company and we're based in Framingham, Massachusetts.
You are a high-tech company, and when I met all of you a few weeks ago and heard the story, like there's so much going on with the system that you have. Let's talk about the system a little bit, Howie.
I can't get into too much detail on it because it's on a non-disclosure right now. Because it's state of the art. It communicates between the person using the system, the apparel that he wears, and the electronic system. It communicates through airwaves. There's nothing else of its kind in the world. It's state-of-the-art technology that I don't want to say only we have, because we work with developers such as MIT, the Apollo team, and other companies like Boston Engineering, Empire Engineering out of Attleboro, Mass, and actually
Can we share who is going to be using it at all?
It's a system for police officers who are on bikes. Right now, if a police officer is on the bike, he or she only has a walkie-talkie, and that technology was invented in 1937, or a personal cell phone that was commercialized for the first time in 1983. So when you look at the technology they're currently using, it's pretty old. And the company Brandel founded 3 years ago, I first met Brandel at the Mass Challenge business competition. And when he started telling me about the social mission of the company, that resonated with me. My mother worked for the state of Massachusetts as an occupational therapist. So the relationship evolved. The Thoreau system is constantly evolving because of our partners and what police are looking for. What we can tell you is it will have software translation for over 30 languages. Right now, if an officer is, say, on the streets of Boston or any major city, maybe there's English and Spanish, and that's about it.
So talk about the social mission. 1854's mission is to help these ladies who've been incarcerated. They come out, they've got kids, families to take care of. Why is that Brandel's mission?
Brandel himself grew up in poverty as well. He was fortunate enough when they moved to South LA to get in an educational program that ended up, he excelled so much, so far in it, that he actually became a graduate of the Wharton Business School in Pennsylvania. He's had several businesses that he's been successful at between now and then. He's also written several books between now and then as well. But the concept of 1854 is that was the year that Thoreau and a few other folks actually burned a copy of the Constitution in Boston in objection, if you will, to the way slaves were being treated. At that time, there was an anti-slavery movement that would take the black slaves that had been freed and return them back into slavery again. Kind of like recidivism in the penal system. That's what he equated it to. And he thought long and hard. He developed algorithms. He's very intelligent. And he developed these algorithms where he was able to determine who in society is susceptible to what types of income. And he was able to determine that, for instance, in the city of Framingham, Massachusetts, women that were incarcerated have better than a 80% chance of recidivism going back into the penal system because they can't get a meaningful employment anyplace because they've got that felony conviction behind them. That's a black mark, and nobody wants to take a chance on a felon. So by developing the 1854 company, his mission was to hire women that have been incarcerated, especially if they have children, so they could be paid a meaningful wage so they could actually support themselves and not have to turn back into, for lack of a better term, a criminal past, if you will.
Well, and on top of that, 1854 is providing for them a lifestyle. 1854 is providing a way for them to feel confident and renew. You know, they know when they go in there to get a job that they're not going to be penalized for having been penalized.
Right.
They know that there's no judgment.
As a matter of fact, what we want to do, we want to try to set something up with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to set up a system where we can bring in potential employees that are currently serving and train them ahead of time. So when they get out, they'll have a career working for us, making meaningful money. It also will give them a chance to learn high tech. We will have a lot of robotics in our facility, so it gives them a new technology to learn that's transferable, not only working with us, but any other high tech company that has robotics. And that's a leg up on your competition.
Well, and I remember you guys mentioning to me that they'll also be able to be employed by the police departments, which is kind of an ironic twist.
That piece is because of the software side and the data analytics that we will be involved with our partners. So our employees are going to have to learn data analytics, going to have to learn the software, and who better to help the police department than the people they once may have arrested. And so you have that. You also have, because this is going to be a pedal-assisted electrical bike integrated system, you have the community aspect of it. The kids are all going to see this, and it's going to be very, very cool.
Well, and you know me, social responsibility is really important, and you know, I'm sure there'll be a lot of businesses that get behind it. And you were mentioning to me actually that the city needs to use a certain amount of their budget by minority businesses.
That's correct.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
There's a certification that's called 8A that basically says you've been certified as a minority business in the manufacturing sector, in the industry. And the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, like as many other states have, they have a preferential treatment to help develop minority-owned companies. By doing so, it gives us a chance to grow and develop a business line. So that goes a long way in helping us with the business and employing people And the other part of it is our company is focused on doing the majority of our business through cities or towns located in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Most everything in the product that we have is made in America. So it's 95% American-made, manufactured, and supported, which nobody else can make that claim today.
That's so important.
It's very important. And the people that we have done beta testing with, such as the city of Framingham, the city of Boston, they've fallen in love with it. We brought in the police department from Wareham, and the lieutenant from Wareham, he was like, when he came into the conference room and saw the equipment, he had the expression of a little boy coming down on Christmas morning and seeing that red bicycle underneath the tree that he's wanted for so long. It was priceless.
Well, and to your point, that's going to go a long way when they're out in the street, and the kids that see it, it'll make the cops cool again. Making cops cool again. Ooh, there's a tag for you.
To me, it's the picture of mostly boys. There'll be some girls, and they're going to see this Thoreau tactical system, and they're going to go home. And my vision is they're going to tell the adults, their parents and friends, I just saw the coolest thing in the world. And guess who's got it? And so it allows the officer to have a positive interaction with boys and girls on the street.
1,000%.
Instead of them, going the other way when the officer, maybe they'll go towards the officer and want to talk with them.
No doubt. As a matter of fact, you guys could teach them a class on how to actually interact with the kids about it, and there's a line of apparel that goes with this as well. Can you talk about that at all?
Can we, Bill?
I don't know.
I think that's a little under.
Okay.
That's too much under
Well,
the NDA.
it's cool.
That's a bit down the road.
All right. Well, there's some fun stuff coming out. Yeah.
Very
Definitely.
cool. And it's unlike anything. We can tell you is, it's like anything an officer is wearing today.
Well, even just the sweatshirts that you have look really cool.
What I can say is this: we've been told this has features that remind people of Star Trek. It's so cutting edge. I think I'll break ranks and just say one of the features that it has is that a lot of bike cops are on their own, pedaling through neighborhoods. If they get injured, if something happens to them, God forbid, if they can't reach the walkie-talkie that's on their shoulder, nobody knows what's happened to them.
Or where they are.
Or anything. Part of the system that this has, when they go down, it automatically sends an officer in distress signal back to dispatch. It pinpoints their location within 2 feet. So they can have a response within minutes. Which that makes all the difference whether or not somebody lives or dies.
So the 1854 system can save the lives of our police officers.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's the bicycle the police officers have used since its inception back in 1868 was what they initially called the bone shaker. Okay, because basically after riding it, it took a while for your bones to settle down because there was no cushioning on it. And then back in the early 1900s, they came out with the pedal bike with the chain on it, much like we see today. And that was better, but the technology hasn't changed on the bicycle that they used then from what it is today, other than, okay, you might have multiple gears that you can shift through now. But other than that, it had no radio. In fact, back then, originally there'd be a red light on a telephone pole on their beat, and if they saw the red light on, they had to go to a call box to call in to find out what the problem was. Police cars had the walkie-talkies, but it was a big chest in the back of the car, and that's what they use. So the officers in the cruisers, technology moved forward. The officers on the bikes remained back in the 1800s.
So the 1854 system will make the police officers safer, will help them to be able to speak different languages or translate different languages.
Correct.
It will help them to communicate with their headquarters 1,000 times better than they currently do. Yes. And the kids are going to think it's cool as hell.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's got other features, Star Trek-like as well. It's terrible because I had a
He's
hand in-
about to go into the doghouse.
Well,
Yeah.
and you asked me if you could bring an example
prototype, yeah.
in, and it's funny you can bring it in, but you can't really talk about it. But that's
Right.
well, what can the community do to help 1854 further their mission?
Speak to the police departments. We would be very happy to come and bring a demo and do a presentation. We will be doing that next month for a number of police departments in Massachusetts. We'd love to come to New Hampshire to do that as well, because it's going to be a really cool thing.
Well, I tell you, one of my contacts is Laura Barker of Hero Pups, and not only do they help provide animals to veterans and first responders, et cetera, but she knows so many of those folks, and for this system to be something that that will help save the lives of these people that she's so connected to, I'll make sure that she gets the shout out as well.
We want our officers and law enforcement to be able to go home at night safe and sound to their families, just like anybody else working in any other sector of any industry.
Now, what about for the women that we're wanting to help with the social responsibility? How can we help them to go ahead and get connected with you? And is there any training that's going to be lined up soon, or?
Well, Brandel Randolph, who's the founder of 1854, is also on the board of directors of a nonprofit in Framingham called Bethany Hill Place, who we hope will be one of our social partners because they work with mothers, families, fathers who are getting back on their feet. So we also will have social partners to help the company with its social mission. We won't be doing it alone. And it's very critical because the passion that Brendel has for this becomes very clear, which is how I first got involved. I met Brendel just about a year ago and saw what he was doing. And over that time, it has evolved from even last August and July. So folks, can reach out, find us on the web.
And to your point, it's evolved even more in the last 4 months,
Yes,
exponentially.
yeah.
Oh, that's because you got involved.
I wouldn't go that far. It's been actually a team effort. The three of us probably talk no less than a half a dozen times a day,
Yeah.
starting about 6:30 in the morning till maybe 9 o'clock at night.
Matter of fact, Brendel called me while we were driving here.
He's actually
And
making
said,
a delivery.
what's going on? What's going on?
He's actually up in Manchester making a delivery. We had a fundraiser event at Bethany Hill back in March or early April, and he raffled off one of our cargo bikes. It's a motorized three-wheel bike with a big cargo area about the size of this table.
So you can put kids in it?
Or anything else. You could have a hot dog machine in it, a popcorn machine, anything you want. It's customizable. And he put it up, he donated it for a bid, and I think they bid, $350 for it. The bike is worth about $3,000. And he's delivering it today,
In New Hampshire.
Manchester.
Well, I hope he is putting press releases out and letting people know what he's doing with that thing.
If he were here, he'd be talking to you, learning how to.
We're going to talk about that some more. So what else would you like the population to know about 1854?
I think they need to get behind their police department and the safety program that this brings and make it known within their selectmen, their city officials, whatever, that this exists and they should be looking into it more. And they should be reaching out for more information so we can educate the police departments and the city or state officials so they know what it is, so they can understand its value and what it brings to the table, not only for the police department, but for the citizens as well. As Lieutenant Correa at Wareham had said, when I was sitting in his office several weeks ago, he pointed out his office window and see those two Harleys out there under the shed? And I said, yeah. He says, those announced their presence 20 minutes before we get there. You can hear them coming down the road. Mm-hmm. That's why I want these bikes, because they're so stealth, we can actually catch the perps. And that makes a big difference to clean the neighborhoods up and the streets, get people out of there so the public can go about their day-to-day business without fear of being shot at or robbed or whatever.
The officer on a bike can do things that an officer in a cruiser can't do. And one of those things is an officer on the bike can interact with the community very differently than an officer in a cruiser. What Thoreau looks like, because it's Star Trek, the kids are going to want to interact with the officer to find out more. Ooh, wait a minute. Maybe they'll become an officer themselves, because police departments at times have a problem recruiting new police officers. Well, if you're on a Thoreau, you're the coolest kid on the block. You're going to be the coolest kid on the block.
Well, and you're going to sell these to the general public too.
Yes, it won't have the same bells and whistles that the officers will have. And just to be clear, this isn't going to be just for police officers. This is for all first responders. For instance, the officers that maintain the parks and recreations need something like this to traverse through the paths in the wilderness, if you will. It's an all-terrain vehicle. The fire department needs something like this so they can get through traffic, so they can provide first aid sooner than later.
You know, I always think when the fire department gets called, that big truck is going to help somebody that just needs some medical attention. I always think, what a waste of resources and how long it takes and how expensive that is.
Firemen do not leave home without their fire truck. You can find fire departments, whoever's cooking that night in the station, they don't have the food, they end up going to a supermarket, and it's parked out front because they never can leave home without it. The other piece is, and what Howie alluded to is, we spoke to a selectman recently in a town in Massachusetts, and he told us about the extension of a bike path that's going to be between his community and another community. Well, cruisers can't go down those bike paths, but we will be able to go down that bike path with the latest technology to help the police officer do their job better.
You know, the more I hear you guys talk about it, the more safe I feel for myself. I was actually dating a police officer for a little while, and I could imagine feeling so much safer knowing that if he were to go down, they would know immediately.
Right.
And that when he needed help, he didn't have to, what if he couldn't do this? And
That
just,
was the concept behind the camp.
Right.
and just being able to, there's so much that this piece does.
This even works. I noticed we had an all-day event in the town of Middleborough, Mass, that I participate in with Rolling Thunder and with the real estate company, Jack Conway, that I'm affiliated with. And I noticed the ambulance service, they had their ambulance personnel going up and down the street on pedal bikes. So I stopped and I talked to them, how many do you guys use of these? Oh, we probably have close to 50 to 100 of these bikes.
There you go.
Because they have to cover all these different events. This is great. Boston, for instance, the streets of Boston, anybody that goes in the city of Boston knows that every street in the city of Boston used to be a cow path. Very narrow, difficult to traverse. You couple that with the high volume of automobile usage there, you can't get through the streets. You have something like this, you can get through the streets. Top speed right now is 28 miles an hour. We're looking at being able to increase it to 45 miles per hour.
And the tires are thick enough that if it's snowing, because God, you're right, Boston is, I don't know how people get around.
Boston police bike units, 365 days a year. Doesn't make any difference for them what kind of what the weather is like.
Think of the streets of the North End with cars parked and the snow clogging, and a cruiser can't get down the street. Or in the summertime when they have all the festivals in the North End, they cannot, it's difficult for the officer. They're going to walk, but with us, they'll be able to do it faster, and they can, if a child gets lost, we will be able to help them identify where the child is lost.
And children are going to be that, like to your point, they're going to be that much more likely to come up and talk to them when they're on this cool piece of equipment. They're
Right.
just that much more approachable. So in the last couple of minutes of the show, the best opposition is a good defense. The best offense is a good defense. What are some things that you think you're going to be up against in the marketplace? Because it seems to me like this is a no-brainer. Why wouldn't every police department have 10, 50 of these things?
The town I grew up in, and I'm not going to mention the name because I don't want to make the chief feel like he doesn't.
He should.
Exactly. But I was going to present to him the prototype and the benefits of it. And initially he was going to meet with me, and then he changed his mind. He said, nope, you see one electric bike, you've seen them all. And I responded to the town manager who Bill and I grew up with. And I said, Bernie, not for nothing, but I would bet my year's salary, there is nothing on this planet that compares to this, that provides what this will do. He's too short-sighted and doesn't understand it. He's painting it with a broad brushstroke. And basically, it's anybody that's been, I don't want to say, what's the term?
Ignorance will keep people in everlasting ignorance.
Right.
It's a lot of inertia.
Yeah.
Oh, we've been doing this way for this and this way.
Or all people of a certain ethnic background are this way. It's the same, to me, it's the same genre, if you will, the same sick way of looking at life. The world has changed. You got to open up your eyes and realize there's good and bad everywhere. There's more people out there that want to be good and help than there are that are bad. The good people are in the majority.
Yeah.
Well, and it's my vision and view that you are those that are here to help for many different reasons. And meeting Brandel, I'm part of. I'm on the Brandel team. I'm on the Brandel team.
Thank you.
We here at the Happiness Jungle can't wait to see this in every police department, every first responder, every person whose life is on the line to keep us safe needs to have an 1854 system. So thank you for bringing it to us, and thank you for being on the Happiness Jungle.
Thank you so much, Cami, for having us.
Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.